Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be part of this ecosystem again and to enjoy the presence of actual humans. That's a great time in celebration today. So I'm the CEO of Nido, which is a company involved in cardiac ablation. So never before were cardiologists able to have direct and real-time visualization of the surface of the heart. So we are addressing two arrhythmias of the heart. Number one is the ventricular tachycardia, named VT. It's one of the main arrhythmias of the heart. It's an erratic beating of the heart, of the ventricles, so the lower chambers of the heart. There are roughly 5 million patients who have this disease in Europe and the US today. And this is responsible for most of the sudden cardiac death. There are around 450,000 sudden cardiac deaths in the United States. And as you can see on the slide, it's more than stroke, lung cancer, breast cancer, and AIDS combined. The second arrhythmia that you address is long-standing persistent atrial fibrillation, AFib. So this is the patient who have atrial fibrillation for more than 1 year. Most of the time they had a treatment in the past or they are under drugs. And this is 45% of all the patients. And this is still an underserved market because the cases are very, very complex. So there are current palliative treatments for this arrhythmia. Number one is the pacemaker, CRT, ICDs, all these devices that are helping the heart to beat in a normal way. And there are the drugs, but we know all the problems that goes with the drugs. So there is only one curative treatment, which is what we call catheter ablation. So you use an ablation catheter on the ventricle or the atrium from the inside or the outside of the heart. And you create a lesion, which is a burn on the heart, to fix the electrical circuit and the arrhythmia, which we call the substrate of the arrhythmia. But the curative treatment is very challenging, and it's up to 50% of the patients who still have an arrhythmia after the curative treatment, which is a big problem. And why? There's two main reasons. Number one is you cannot create a deep enough lesion through the thickness of the ventricle or the atrium. And number two is that we understand with very recent data from 2020 that the substrate is behaving in a very weird way. And sometimes it's very difficult to target the problem and to burn exactly where we're supposed to burn. So the solution is a combined approach. We want to burn the tissue from the outside of the heart and from the inside as well. And the data is extremely clear. This is very recent data from 2018 to 2021. For VT, there is a 35% difference in freedom of VT. So the patient do not have the disease anymore compared to the regular treatment. There's a 60% reduction of all-cause mortality as well when you do both. For AFib, and this is even more recent data from 2020, and that led to a FDA approval of one of our competitor, 39% difference in freedom from AFib, 90% less time living with the arrhythmia for the patients, which is a game changer for them, and 2 times more likely not to no longer need any medication. So there's an issue, though, with the current approach when you do outside and inside, that you need a multidisciplinary team. You need an electrophysiologist, which is a cardiologist specialized in this type of treatments, is doing the endocardial ablation. Okay, and most of the time when you do the outside of the heart, you would need a cardiac surgeon who is specified. So a cardiac surgery is a totally different animal, right? It's much more expensive, it's open, and it's not minimally invasive, it's longer treatment, and the cost for the hospital is tremendous compared to catheter ablation. So what we want to do is actually solve this problem and provide a tool for cardiologists. So, but the problem is the cardiologist, when they need to do ablation from the outside of the heart, contrary to a cardiac surgeon who can see very well with endoscopes or just by his eye directly, that's a big problem for them. So see clearly the surface of the heart. Look at the right, on the right. You can see what they see today, which is fluoroscopy. Is like levels of grays, and you can't see really well, even though you use some contrast liquid. It's very, very difficult to understand what is the surface of the heart, how it looks like, the fat, the tissue, the arteries, and all that. Number two is to protect anatomical structures when you ablate, and you can see this other picture on the bottom, when you see the physician created some lesions on the surface of the heart, which is the bottom part of the picture. But on the top, what you can see is that he burned what we call the pericardium, which is the skin around the heart. And you can actually burn the lungs, you can burn esophagus, you can burn the phrenic nerve that is responsible for breathing. So that can be a huge problem as well for the patients, easy to understand. And so what you want is to create a deep lesion on a moving and beating heart. And this is, the outside of the heart is moving a lot. You really need this kind of stability to create a nice burn and a nice lesion. So this is our solution, which is named SEPIA. And it's a very, very simple design. We have three main features. Number one, we have a camera and a light to see. So the physician will be able to see what he's doing. And that's the first time that EP cardiologists will have a direct visualization of the surface of the heart. Number two, we have a balloon to protect all the anatomical structure, the critical anatomical structures. And number three, we have a steerable end to provide some stability to the ablation catheter. So here's a video of the SEPIA procedure. And as you can see, the ablation catheter is extremely stable on the surface of the heart, even though the heart is beating. This is an animal. And the physician will deliver energy in a couple of seconds. And he can see live what he's doing and the energy deployed and the burn created on the surface of the heart. When we show that to electrophysiologists, it's crazy, but they say that the first time I can see that in real time, and I can see like the heart beating and the lesion created live, even though I have done thousands of these procedures in the past, because there has never been a direct visualization procedure done for electrophysiologists for the outside of the heart. So the business opportunity is absolutely huge. Arrhythmia is a huge problem. If you combine the patient who need this kind of procedure for VT and the patients who need this procedure for AFib, this is a total of 7 million patients just for US and Europe. So extremely big opportunity. We have an IP portfolio, of course, on the operation side. So we have 4 patents that we filed in 2019 that is owned by the company, and we plan to file more patents during the upcoming year. So the regulatory strategy, and that's really one of the beauty of this company, is that it's a 510K. So it's a brand new approach. The first time we provide a camera in the space for cardiologists. However, we have a predicate that is from cardiac surgery, a very old device that was owned by Boston Scientific at the time. But the intended use is exactly the same. So the FDA told us if you have the same intended use, it's totally fine, even though it's for a totally different market. So we have a very straightforward path to the market with this 510K. And we're even eligible for third-party review, which is even shorter pathway. So the operational timeline and the milestones, it's basically we're working on the design still. We'll freeze the design very soon, hopefully before Q4 2021. Then filing at the end of Q2 2022 to the FDA. Then launching a safety study of 25 patients roughly, and to get the safety study data at the end of the year 2023, and hopefully it will trigger potentially an acquisition. So the funders are Pedro del Nido, who is the chairman of cardiovascular surgery at Boston Children's Hospital, great innovator, scientific, extremely impressive entrepreneur as well. 500 publications, 18 patents. Nikolay Vasilyev is a cardiac surgeon as well. And I've been involved in a medical device for the last 8 years now. I'm the founder of Biomodex, a company that you have seen maybe earlier today. And I've been in this company for the last 2 years. So we have, of course, physicians helping us, Vivek Reddy, who is very involved in this space, and Andre Davila, based in Boston. And they're both heads of the departments at Mount Sinai, New York, and Beth Israel. So we have raised first money with grants, so an SBIR and STTR, and we did a seed round with Broadview Ventures of $2.9 million, and now we are closing a Series A. And this device is really a differentiator for all these big companies, these strategics who want to go both on the VT side, which is growing faster than the AFib market, but a little bit smaller, or if they really want to ramp up on this 45% of the patients who are very, very difficult to treat. And we believe that we will be a very attractive target for acquisition in a couple of years. So the summary, we are an unmet clinical need. AFib has been recognized many times as one of the biggest problems to solve. It's still an under-penetrated market. we still have to solve this problem of this arrhythmia for the patients who still are under antiarrhythmic drugs, which are not good. It's an easily identifiable patient population and physician customer. We're enabling a currently available and well-established treatment paradigm, and there is a near-term and low-risk 510(k) regulatory path. Thank you.